Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Conversations with Commissioner. With us today is Artea Abrose. And today we're going to be listening and learning about the Office of Human Rights. We have 5 awesome folks here. Human rights, you know what? I'm just going to let her and them tell us about how awesome they are. So when you hear human rights, like what does that mean?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. That's huge because there's a lot of confusion about our office and what we do, what we can do, what we can't do. Mm-hmm. So I think most importantly, the thing that we want people to understand is that our office is under DBHDS. So we only have authority over programs that are operated, licensed, or funded through our department. So any programs outside of DBHDS don't fall on our authority. Right. So with that, under the DBHDS section of the Virginia Administration Code, there are certain regulations. Our regulations fall under Chapter 115, which is the Human Rights Regulations. And in that, it says that individuals who are receiving services in DBHDS have the right to specific things. And it tells providers what their responsibility is to individuals who are receiving services. Right. So those rights look like, first and most importantly, the right to be treated with dignity and respect. That first and foremost, you are an individual who is important and has meaning. And so our real focus is that, also focusing on individuals within the DBHDS system. They are receiving services in accordance with sound therapeutic practice, that they have a right to have say in their treatment and what their treatment goals are. And then a big portion also is that individuals have the right to make complaints if they feel that any of those rights have been violated. That's a big part of what we do. Right. But really the purpose of those regulations is to make sure that individuals feel important, know that they're important, know that they have value, and to make sure that providers who are giving a service within the DBHDS system are respecting their rights and protecting them as an individual within their dignity.
You'd think that that sounds like common sense, that people would know that they have those rights. Yeah. Why is it that we have to have these laws? Chapter 115, you guys need to read. Why?
A lot of times individuals feel like they're limited to their diagnosis. As you well know, DBHDS is a large system, right? And so we serve individuals with substance use disorders, with mental health diagnoses, with developmental disabilities. And so our role is really to make sure that individuals feel heard, to feel that they have a right to be respected and protected. And we want Virginia and DBHDS as a system to ensure quality clinical care to the individuals that are being served.
Yeah, and you know, it's really, really tremendous what you all do. I guess why I was asking that question is because unfortunately some people don't have the ability to have a voice, and you're a voice to the voiceless. Yeah. This is the way I view it. Yeah. Because of their illness, they can't articulate or don't know. Right. And so you go in and make sure that you're speaking on behalf of them and making sure that they are getting that quality care.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a big portion of that too is that when individuals make complaints, we work directly with the individual, but also with the provider. And the purpose of that whole complaint process is resolution. How can we resolve these complaints? Not just to make sure that the rights of the individual are being protected and respected, but also to make sure that everybody who is receiving services through that provider, that their rights are being protected and respected as well. So when we talk about that complaint resolution process, if we do find out that a provider has violated an individual's rights, really what we're looking for is, okay, in your corrective action steps, what policy are you going to change? What new training are you going to provide to your staff? Are you going to hire additional staff? We want to make sure that not only is this complaint resolved, but to mitigate future occurrences for anyone else who's receiving services.
Right. Yeah. And like many things that we have in place now, laws and regulations, unfortunately, comes because people didn't follow the rules or
Yeah.
took people's rights away.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
with all the great things that you do comes a heavy burden, and I think a lot of people don't know that. And so just thank you all for standing in the way.
Yeah.
Especially for those that have been abused or neglected.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We enjoy the work. We're thankful for the work. We believe that as hard as you try, no one's perfect. Mistakes are made, but really our focus is how do we fix it systemically to make the system better for the individuals that are being served.
Why do we as an agency, why are we the only agency in state government that has a human rights division?
Oh, I think everyone needs a human rights division.
For sure.
To be honest. And I think the reason specifically why DBHDS makes it a priority is because we understand that individuals are more than their diagnosis. That individuals are exactly that, right? They deserve to have a service that is tailored specifically to them and their needs. They have the right to have their voice and their opinion heard, to have say in their treatment. And I think we at DBHDS really see that and understand that. I think we talk a lot about the DBHDS logo, right? With those little dots that all represent each individual person and represent each, agency and our providers. And that's true in the Office of Human Rights, right? That every dot represents a person who is involved in the system. And it takes all of us working together to provide quality clinical care throughout DBHDS.
That was like my favorite song. Obviously you have a lot of passion for this.
Very much.
How did you get into this field?
I honestly just kind of feel like it's my life's work. It's kind of human rights and respecting individuals is just so ingrained in who I am as a person. I was raised in a family that served others. And it's always been really important to me to know that people have value, that they were created with a purpose, that every person deserves respect and deserves to be treated with kindness, and with love and dignity and compassion and justice. Those things are all very core to who I am, to my faith and my belief system as well. But even beyond that, professionally, how I kind of ended in this field and in this area, I worked as a director for a not-for-profit that was licensed by DBHDS. And in my work there, I was our Office of Human Rights trainer. And so I became very passionate as a trainer, training my staff in the human rights regulations and what they mean. And the core behind everything is that individuals have importance. And I was involved in our local human rights committee, which I'm not sure how familiar you are with that, but it's a great program. I'm sure we're going to talk about it later. And I was offered an opportunity to come to OHR through that, and I took it, and it has been one of the best decisions I've made. I'm very thankful for it.
I'm glad you're here. Well, do you have anything to ask me?
So I am very involved in my faith community, and I know you are as well. I've heard you talk a lot about hope being a core concept of our system. So for you, how does hope inform the work that you do as the commissioner?
Yeah, great question. I started this whole journey, I remember, as January 2022, and we came in with this idea of like transformation, but what did that look like? And it started off, of course, workforce is fundamental to everything, so we focused on that. And then it was the continuum of care. And then the third bucket is before modernization, which is the third area that we work in, was hope. Because I heard a lot about, I listened to all the folks all over the place. And we're coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
And then just hearing from staff, everyone was hopeful for something. But there was no like goal in mind, or at least no one can articulate like where we were headed. And for me, it's hope. Like I believe, that, as you mentioned before, we were here for a purpose. And our purpose is to serve your neighbors, your loved ones, the least of these. And that's everything that we do here.
Yeah.
Is the people that don't have hope, maybe, or they come to us with hope. I love this saying. The people come to us and they can't hold their hope, so we hold it for them until we can heal them and give it back. And that's the most beautiful thing. And hope is as real as the air we breathe, like the light. I think I've used this before too. Our folks have the prism to be able to show these people hope and light. Because, you know, in a prism, you can actually see light. Yeah. And again, it's all around us. We breathe it and we want it. And when you realize it, it's an amazing thing. Yeah. Right? So we've been able to accomplish so many beautiful things here. And so hope is a catalyst for action. I agree. Yeah.
So our goal in human rights is to improve the systems as best we can for individuals served. So what are the things that we are doing as an agency as we move forward to not only improve the systems, but also to improve the experiences of the individuals as they move through it?
Yeah, you know, one of my favorite quotes, I've used this for the executive team here to kind of set the table a long time ago. And if any of you out there can figure out who said it, you win. But and I believe this, is that we will strive for perfection, fully knowing that perfection is unattainable. But if we keep striving for perfection, along the way, we will grasp excellence. And so what I mean by that is that we have this strategic plan and we have things in place and we're constantly revising them based on what's happening in the community. And that's informed by really good data. So again, we've got all these great programs we've been able to achieve, whether it's increasing our peer workforce to, you know, reducing opiate deaths to, you know, making sure people with disabilities have access to timely care no matter where they are, through our crisis network, to you name it. But all of that we've made tremendous strides in. But really important to that is, and critical, is having the information to continually revise. Our data exchange that we've built, all of our electronic health records are now in our 12 state hospitals are connected to all 40 CSBs. Now, this is just the beginning. Right now, we have this information that's going to drive better clinical outcomes for these individuals, whether they're in the state hospital or in their communities. And we'll be able to see that over a period of time because the data as is entered into the EHR at CSBX is now in real time. We don't have to wait for an Excel spreadsheet to be emailed to us 30 days from now. It's real-time data collection. Right? So we don't have to look back. We can make adjustments as we move forward. We can see the needle moving in the system. So I think our technology is driving us beyond where I even anticipated it being. It's becoming really cool. So now you multiply that across all these different fronts to include human rights, so you can see these trends in real time. That's where we're going. So buckle up.
Yeah, thank you. I'm ready.
Well, thanks for hanging out with me. We'll move on and see what your next colleagues have to say.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm good.
Well, we're back and we have Adrea Milhouse with us, and we're going to hear about what is her why.
That's a good question, and I ask myself that a lot. So for me, my why is based on the belief that in this role and in life, you know, individuals deserve a voice, and they deserve dignity and respect, and to have their rights protected. I believe that in this work, individuals that we serve who experience challenges or barriers when it comes to their mental health, substance abuse, developmental disabilities, can many times experience discrimination, stigma, that many of us, that we don't ever have to encounter. So being able to support individuals by amplifying their voices, creating space for them, ensuring that they receive adequate care in a person-centered approach, keeps me grounded in the fact that this is my why. This is where I want to be. I can't think of anything else I'd rather do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, it's like that seems to be the viral human rights. You guys have an amazing team, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, everyone that I've met have that same passion, and it's real, just for everyone to know.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt that we get paid to do it.
Yeah, that makes it even better.
That makes it great.
So, you know, within the human rights, you're making sure that these individuals have a voice, and safety is paramount.
Definitely.
Sometimes, what if that individual wants to do something that's not safe? Like, how do you deal with that?
That's an awesome question. One that we're faced with, I promise you, every day, where providers are struggling with that mix, right? So safety and rights, they don't exist separate from each other. They have to exist together and in a way that is balanced, thoughtfully, because implementing some sort of restriction just based on the fact of keeping a person safe isn't fair, right? There should be some level of thought about autonomy, about their rights, about collaborative decision-making, about informed consent. So for us in our office, we give resources and we give technical guidance to providers to help them find that healthy medium. Because even though individuals may experience challenges with their mental health, with their substance abuse and other types of things, even when it comes to the fact that many individuals have guardians who can make decisions in concert with them, but on their behalf, it's still important to honor their dignity of risk, right? So it's about harm reduction, not elimination, right?
Can you give an example of that, like where those two you've seen are at odds?
Right. So there was an individual that I had to provide technical support to a provider around this individual wanting to access public transportation. She wanted to access the city bus to go to day support because it's on the bus line. She wanted to go to day support. She didn't always want to come straight home from day support. Sometimes she wanted to say, okay, I'll leave day support. I'll stop by Walgreens. I'll go get something to eat from McDonald's, and then I'll make my way back to my group home. Well, the individual had a legal guardian who agreed somewhat that this is a possibility for her. Her provider, though, her residential provider, was very nervous about it, understandably.
Sure.
They take a lot of responsibility in ensuring the safety factor for individuals. So in a conversation with the individual included, the guardian, the provider, we discussed it. Like, what does this look like? Do you have a cell phone where you can call if you get confused about what bus you should take, right? Yeah. If you experience an issue at the store, do you have someone, do you have a phone where you can call and we can help you get safely back home? Well, the first instance that she tried it didn't go well. She was, her risk was very low for harm, but she got turned around, right? So she tried to get off the bus at the McDonald's and wasn't aware that you had to wait an hour for the bus to come back to that spot to take you home. So she assumed that she could get off the bus, go in, make her purchase in 15 minutes and come back to the bus stop and get back home. When she didn't notice the bus come back, she got worried. So she called. She did use her phone and she called the group home to say, my bus has left me. No, the bus hasn't left you. That's what they do. They drop you. Right. And then they come back. Once she was better able to understand that, she said to impart her patience and she started setting her watch to when she gets off the bus, she knows that it's going to take an hour before it circles back to her. And it worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And had she not had that experience, I mean, that was a learning point for her.
Right, and it helps build independence and self-efficacy.
Right.
And the fact that she can do these things on her own.
Right.
It is expected that they should live to the fullest extent with the fullest freedoms that they can.
That's a great example too, as a provider learns, things aren't linear out there.
Yeah.
There are thousands of stories, I'm sure, that you've helped people navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard many of them too that come here to central office.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it to your other colleague, but it's pretty heavy. You deal with a lot of sad things where people, whether it's just intentional or just neglect or all those things.
Yeah.
How do you all, as a team, support one another?
It's something we work on every day, and something that we need to engage in every day with each other. We do hear a lot of tough stories. We experience a lot of secondary trauma from the things we hear sometimes. And we as an office and as a team, even though we're all spread out across the Commonwealth, we as a team, we can connect anytime that we feel that we need to. And we use our technology to do that. So whether it's, hey, let's get on Teams, I need to talk this out, I need to bounce this off of somebody. We leave space for each other, where we can share feelings without judgment. We talk about these tough issues. We help each other solve tough cases, very difficult cases. And we leave that space open so that our coworkers and our peers can feel supported, just like we support the people that we serve every day.
Yeah.
We use that same level of empathy and compassion for each other.
What would you say to the folks that are watching this and the other disciplines that are, obviously we do a lot of heavy things in many places. What would you say to them?
Right. So what I would say to other colleagues and other people who work in the service industry, in public service, it is heavy work, but it's also hard work. And it's not hard, but hard. It's hard work. And it is the best balance of work and pleasure and giving back to the community that anyone could have working in public service. You have to take care of yourself. We say all the time, self-care is the best care. Self-care is recognizing when I need to, talk with someone. It doesn't have to be a licensed therapist. It can just be someone that you really trust. It could be a colleague that you just talk to. Know when you're reaching that limit. You don't want to burn out, because you know the old adage is about being able to pour from an empty cup. Like, it's almost impossible, right? But I also ask, as a manager, I ask my team all the time, because I know they try to wear capes all day, right? Super advocate, they're off and they're gone, and they're trying to help people solve all of these issues in the systems that we offer as a department. But I ask them honestly, what does your cape look like, right? So I found this really cute picture of a superwoman with a cape, but her cape had a bandage on it, it had stitches on it, it had holes and tears. Like, if that's what your cape looks like, it's time to put your cape in the cleaners, right? Get some work done to your cape, because the cape doesn't only just protect, it helps you fly, it protects you, it looks good, right? So what does your cape look like? I'm feeling some energy from you today, Commissioner, but what does your cape look like?
Mine is really good.
Good.
It's beautiful.
Long and flowing, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's great.
Well, do you have any questions or thoughts for me?
I certainly do, of course. You're our commissioner, so I want to know, since your time being here at DBHDS, how do you feel like you've changed and grown since you've been here? Wow.
Well, someone said you are going to get me some therapy sessions. We're getting in. I have learned so much.
Yeah.
I mean, not just within the disciplines of like all the things we do, which is tremendous here. I've learned so much about myself, where my limits are, how to be a better leader, how to be a better husband, how to be a better dad. Balancing all these things all at once. And you can't be everything to everyone all the time, but you want to be. And because I have that desire to want to be, striving for perfection, it did stretch early on. Is how do I do these things and manage? I love winning, and sometimes you don't win, and that's okay too. I always say it's the biggest job I've ever had, and I don't take it for granted. Coming in here, I'm not naive, but boy, I had no clue about all the things like human rights everywhere. And then I sit in on your meetings and I learn from everyone out in the community, like all the things that they do, just talking to people. There's so much out there in our society that people don't know. And so I would say, I'm stronger for it, forged. And I hope I continue to grow and become a better human to do better for other people. I mean, it's been a journey.
Yeah. But you've also been heading a lot of change in our department, right? I've heard you talk about the data governance. I've heard you talk about the work that's being done with the opioid crisis.
Mm-hmm.
So going forward, what kind of changes would you like to see?
Yeah, like I mentioned with the data exchange, especially with all these dashboards that we're building, I think we owe it to Virginians to understand where the needs are precisely. I mean, precisely.
Yeah.
And what are those needs, and make sure the resources are there appropriately. So what are the disciplines or clinical modalities and where, but also what are the outcomes that we're trying to achieve, right? And so monitoring those outcomes. Yeah. So with behavioral health redesign, or we're going through and, we just had a big conversation about this the other day, is over the years, we get monies from the General Assembly. Sometimes it's reactionary to like something that's happened in the community. Mm-hmm. Whether it's permanent supportive housing, which is a giant, area that we need stably housed people are often, better off and they stay in their communities. Mm-hmm. But how does that work with, our state hospitals, the individuals going in or out of the hospitals, and making sure that all of those services are intertwined and connected. So that's a big, long way to say, like, we need to be the best for Virginians, because they don't care about the names of the different offices or agencies. No. They just need the care they need when they need it. Mm-hmm. And so having data to support and find out what that is and where, that's the goal. Right?
Access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, next guest is Riley Curran. So Riley, what's different with what you do in the state facilities versus your colleagues out in the community?
So I think the biggest difference with working in a state facility versus the community providers is the setting, the service setting itself, right? So individuals are coming into our state hospitals and they're likely committed for service, so they're not able to leave as soon as they would like, right? As you may see somebody in the community who goes to a community provider for an appointment and then they're able to go home right afterwards.
Right.
So there's already like a level of freedom that's lost, right?
They've lost the right.
Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the time what I'm doing is educating them on what the hospital's policies are and that it's there for safety and to ensure their safety, not to be punitive to them at all, and talking about schedules. So like an example would be, we heard from Adrea talking about the bus route, and that's not something that would come up pretty often for me in a state facility because we're not focused on that community part. But something that would come up is like somebody saying to me, well, as we create our discharge plan, they're not helping me find bus routes for in the community when I'm back there. But it's not something that I would be ensuring that the community provider was doing for them.
Sure.
And so, I think about too, a lot of the time I'm just talking about what the schedule is for them. So like our individuals in the state facilities, they don't have the ability to just, leisurely walk outside as they'd like, use their phone or their cell phone. Like cell phones are not allowed, right? So they're not able to just make a call whenever they want to make a call. They have to, follow what the hospital's policies are in the schedule to ensure that they're providing the best treatment to these individuals.
Right. And that's hard, I imagine, because it's not jail.
Yeah.
And it's not like a normal hospital.
Yes.
So they're restricted in many, many ways. How difficult is that to help people understand?
It can be pretty challenging. I try to explain that, you get these things once you're back in the community. These things aren't taken from you forever, right? A lot of the time, people will come to me and ask about, what are my legal rights after this? And I have to talk with them about how, it is a different setting that you got committed to a facility. It's the way our law is set up, and there are avenues to regain those rights once you're back in the community for them too.
Yeah, and also for the staff, is getting them to understand too, preventing them from, going too far.
Yeah, yes.
And interpreting things more in a strict way when this person has already had. Do you have a story or anything you'd like to share?
Sure, I could give an example from this week.
Okay.
I was working with a treatment team who they had an individual that was reaching out to some community support people, and this individual was there forensically at the hospital, so they were there for competency evaluation. So they're kind of under a different code and have to stay and complete this competency evaluation. So this individual wanted to have all of the community supports, get all of his documentation and everything. Yeah. And for that team who generally just works with lawyers and people like that, they're like, what are we doing? This person isn't a part of their legal team. Why would we send them everything? And I had to educate them that it is still their right to pick who's involved in their treatment. Even if you're saying that they're not a part of that individual's legal team. They have the capacity to make that decision for themselves.
Absolutely. And hopefully everything worked out.
Oh yeah, we're all on the same page.
Imagine sometimes.
That was my last email. It said, I think we're all on the same page again.
What is one thing that you wish providers knew about human rights?
I think the biggest thing that I want providers to know is that we're not here as trying to get them in trouble. It's not another tool to get providers in trouble, right? It's a tool to make sure that individuals' rights are being protected still. And ultimately, our goal is the same, right? That we want to see people recover and get back into the community. We don't want to keep them at the state hospitals. So I really would want them to know that we're working together. We're here to work together and not working against each other. Right. We're a team still.
Yeah, I echo that too. That's what I want providers to know also, is the fact that I had a great experience before I took this job with human rights. And I think that's the case across the board because of the leadership and all the people that you have, like you.
Thank you.
So, do you have any questions for me?
I do, but I don't remember them. I know as commissioner, you're talking with stakeholders all the time about our state facilities. What is one of the common misconceptions you hear about it and the services provided?
Yeah, there's so many misconceptions about the state facility. I had misconceptions going into this. A good example was the first time I walked through the halls of Eastern State Hospital and going into the treatment malls, and they were in the snack bar, patients were in the snack bar behind, on the grill, cooking sandwiches. They had knives, chopping things up, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Right.
That just in the private sector, there's nothing like it. There's a library where they're in there they could study and take classes. There's a barber shop, and they work, and there's a clothing store in some of the facilities.
Western State has a frame shop.
There's art going on, poetry. I've patients from all over Virginia, our state facilities, sent in their artwork, which someday we'll get up, to go all over the walls here. And I guess the misconception is, and I would say this is as a society nationwide, is that state hospitals are a place that you throw someone, the old tale of just locking people away that are crazy. Yeah. And that is just not true. This is the most amazing thing. I will never for my whole life forget that. And I will be the biggest advocate for that, is that it is the coolest thing that people actually heal. Right. And go back into the community.
Yeah, that's my favorite part about working here, is seeing people recover.
Right.
Being a part of that. So I also was curious to know, what's your favorite part about the job?
I would say the whole thing. The people, like when your colleague said about the logo with the dots. In this role, I get to see the whole picture of the behavioral health care and developmental disabilities continuum. All the people in it, the providers, human rights. the people in the community, the families. I've been able to see and be a tourist in my own state, and just the experiences of seeing that. Just being able to see, blessed to see the whole thing. It is cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
It's really awesome. That's all I had.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Yes, thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. That was great.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right, welcome back. Now we have Jennifer Kovack, who's gonna tell us about everything.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
No, so I hear a lot about person-centered approach. Can you tell us, like, what does that look like? What does that mean?
So, Artea spoke earlier about, the basis of the human rights regulations. It's about, supporting individuals' dignity, respect, their shared rights. So that's kind of the broader picture. And, providers, licensed, operated, funded by the department, provide those services, but we expect those services to be person-centered, right? So individualized to what the individual receiving that services needs. That includes like an individual support plan. Their preferences should be included in it. I think that's really important and oftentimes gets overlooked. Just because someone's receiving a service doesn't mean that they don't have a say in that service, right? And their preferences should be heard, along with their rights being upheld and protected.
Yeah, so like as opposed to the old methods where we're going to come up with a plan that we think fits you.
Oh yeah.
And you follow this plan because we told you to.
Yep. Yeah, and there's a lot, I think with services now, like Adrea mentioned, with dignity of risk, where, we really want individuals to be involved in that, I mean, it's designed for them, right? So, when meetings are going on and plans being made and their preferences aren't being heard, it just doesn't feel right.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember having a discussion about this not long ago, person-centered care, and I would even say that translates to the workplace.
Oh, 100%.
Right. We need person-centered care plans for our colleagues and for each other.
100%. So in my role, I actually, have the pleasure. Tanika is my boss, who I know that you know well, and we miss her today, but I learn a lot from her and how she takes care of people, and I really try to model that with how I work with my team, which I manage or oversee all the 5 managers on the community side, and really getting to know them and what works for them, right? They have different managing styles. They need different things from me. They have strengths in different things where they can support each other. So I think within our office, we do a really, really good job of identifying that and supporting, our team's needs as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's really, to me, foundational to care, because if you and your colleagues don't have that synergy, then things are very difficult.
And even though, the work that we do as public service, we do have outcomes that we have to meet, and we do have processes that we're continually trying to improve in order to, impact the bigger system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you all meet with individuals and families on sort of like a one-to-one intimate basis to make sure they get care. How does that connect to the bigger system? How do you think that's impacting it?
I think the way that we interact with them the most is through the complaint resolution process, right? So an individual or their family member would contact us, I have this complaint or this incident happened, like, can you help me? And then, we have processes internally as well as within the regulations that will, guide them and provide assistance with them regarding. And so I think those interactions really drive our internal processes, right? Because the individuals or the families are going to let us know if what we're doing is working or not. There's a bigger picture with the regulations where it takes a lot more action, to get things changed. But we are in the process of revising our regulations. But things that I work with a lot and that are easier to do are more like our internal protocols, how we respond to certain incidents, how we interact with certain, families. We might attend treatment team meetings with some of them. Others, we might provide support in a different way. I know, sometimes we even go out on high priority cases and, ensure safety at the location where the complaint occurred. So we have a lot of internal processes, and really it comes down to the complaint, the individual and the family, and we learn from them, and that drives our process. And I think that impacts the larger system.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Local state human rights committees. Can you tell us about what they are, like who participates, and are they important?
Oh yeah, they're very important. So we call them, they're local human rights committees, and we have a state human rights committee. So I'll reference them as LHRC and the SHRC. The LHRCs, we have about 15. They're across the state in different areas, and it's a group of volunteers. The main purpose for the LHRC is to ensure due process for individuals. So they review things like behavior treatment plans that have a restraint in them, restrictions that meet the threshold for review, in the regulations. Next friend request, which is when, someone might need a substitute decision maker, and there's a process for that. Probably the biggest thing that they do is do fact-finding reviews, which is when an individual or AR guardian can appeal the decision or the findings from a complaint. And that can be, a complaint involving abuse, neglect, or exploitation, or just a violation of the human rights regulations. So this group of volunteers trained by our office, that's that impartial body, right? So that impartial review that gives that due process to the individuals. And so they meet quarterly. It's usually 5 to 9 members. We're always looking for new members. Got to plug that in here. Well, you'll hear more about our website, but we have great resources on there, including applications, schedules, how to apply. We're always looking for volunteers. When you retire as commissioner, too, you could always join a committee if you're interested. You have a lot of experience as well. And then the SHRC is a group of 9 volunteers that oversees the actions of the LHRCs, and they meet, I think, about 9 times a year in various locations across the state. They actually have a meeting today in Virginia Beach. Right. So, yeah.
Well, thank you.
Did I answer that? I could
Yes.
talk a lot about LHRCs.
I could tell.
Like. Yeah,
I could tell.
Yeah.
Guys, go to the website, sign up.
Yes.
Well, do you have any questions for me?
So I know in OHR we use a lot of data to kind of drive our work. So how does DBHDS use data, and what are different ways we're seeing improvements with that?
Wow. It's a lot of data today.
A lot of data, and
Yeah.
that's a big question.
Yeah, I've talked about it earlier. We can officially say that we're the #1 IT agency in the state.
Nice.
We recently, through Russell and his team, they were just awarded AWS award, Amazon Web Services, for the most innovative state. We've done so much. We got Data Maturity Award from OGDA, or ODGA, which is the Office of Government Data Governance. And so we started this, if you remember, when I first got here, we created the strategic plan, and part of that was modernization.
Yep.
And I always had this idea, the governor challenged me to get, swing for the fences, big goals. And I'll say one of the goals was to have this ahead of my mind, like one patient, one record. And really that's turned into, it is actually materializing when I talked about the data exchange and the data warehouse. And the idea was to have all systems connected. I mean, public and private, because it's not, #1, it's going to be the best for the individual, no matter where they land, whether it's in Better Med, blah, 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 all the place. You don't have to recreate records, especially for our individuals who may be in a psychotic episode. You don't know when the last time they've taken whatever medications they are.
Right.
And now they're in a new place. And now you have no idea. So that's what that comes from. Right?
Okay.
And so we can do that now with our public system. And so you can see and think about, when I talked about getting data in real time from the CSBs, #1, it's going to reduce the administrative burdens on everyone. that they can focus more on treatment, right? When the documentation is automatically going into the collection centers. And again, it'll better inform us policymakers so we can drive better outcomes.
Oh, yeah.
So we can in turn go to the General Assembly and ask for the specific and appropriate amount of funding for specific and appropriate outcomes. Like that's the pinnacle.
That's huge.
I know.
Yeah, that's huge.
And I think everyone is aware of this. You can go to our website, you can look at our strategic plan, and it changes because we've accomplished goals and we're constantly refining those goals and using data to inform it. In our hospital system, it's a system now. So we're awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're awesome too. And we use a lot of data. You mentioned the data warehouse. I mean, that really helps us identify trends. You know, even just recently, you know, that data helped us identify you know, accused staff person that maybe had went to multiple providers and had numerous abuse allegations against them. Whereas, you know, 10 years ago, it would have been really hard to narrow that down if we didn't have a system where we could access that.
Now, even when it comes to generating reports or information, like you can query and you'll be able to, I mean, the ability for us to do analytics and get more accurate with every part of what we do is going to change the way I think Virginia is going to do behavioral health care. Well,
I have one more question.
Okay.
I know you mentioned a little bit about the work that we've done with Right Help right now, and just wanted to see like what kind of improvements we're seeing related to that.
Yeah, I would say across the board in all the pillars, you know, currently working with DMAS for behavioral health redesign to make sure that we're efficient in the services that we have funded now, which is in that innovation pillar. You know, we're one of the few states, I would think the only state or first state to get crisis services covered by commercial insurance, private insurance, which is groundbreaking. Comes with its own problems that we have to adjust, but we're working those out. You know, when it comes to Right Help right now, people are getting access to crisis services, whether it's through our call system, and those teams are doing tremendous jobs answering those phones, to mobile crisis teams that are able to reach any Virginian within less than an hour. It's about decriminalization. Because currently the way it works, if a law enforcement comes up to someone, or historically, they have two choices. They can make an ECO or an arrest, I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we've seen a rise in it's the forensification. So we came up with this program, this SCOP program, Special Conservative of the Peace, and we're piloting that in Southwest Virginia with tremendous results. And so we're seeing tremendous success in this. And I expect that once this is fully implemented, we even have a private health system that's doing it. Like they're hiring and training their own SCOPs, and they're even going to do the transportation.
Oh, that's great.
So again, we're changing that dynamic. So again, we're looking at decriminalization and then a better journey for the patient, right? So I would say we are achieving and we've exceeded our goals within Right Help right now.
Yeah, that's great.
That's right. Fundamentally, we're shifting the way that we deliver behavioral health services.
Yeah,
and
just like we did with the training centers, right? Becoming more community-based and less kind of institutionalized. Yeah.
Yep, behavioral health care. It's continually evolving.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming in.
All right, thanks.
All right, our next guest, we have the one, the only, Alonzo Riggins, Training and Development Coordinator. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today.
So, what do you do? Tell us about, like, what kind of trainings do you offer?
Okay. Well, as the Training and Development Coordinator with the Office of Human Rights, what I do is facilitate a lot of the public-facing trainings that we offer. So ultimately, all of our trainings are rooted within the regulations, but we kind of drill down on specific regulations, particularly speaking to whichever subject matter and type of trainings that we are going to offer. So for instance, we have an overview of the human rights regulations where we review all of the regulations that are within Chapter 115.
You got to read it.
Yes, absolutely. And additional to that, we have restrictions, behavioral treatment plans, and restraints. That class particularly drills down on those regulations that talk about what you've heard a lot of my coworkers mention about processes and things that we have in place per regulations and per our office's processes. If you are going to be implementing those things as a provider, how it is that you need to approach that and maintain dignity and respect for the individuals that we serve in our service delivery system. So it's definitely a good class to have taken if you're going to be a provider, especially if you're going to be working with what will be seen as challenging individuals or individuals that have challenging diagnoses. But in addition to that, I also facilitate new member orientation for LHRC members that are appointed. So once you decide to come on board, we can talk about that and what that looks like. And we have new provider orientation, speaking to what Artea was referencing, where new providers and new applicants to be a provider learn much about those stories and those dots in each individual story and what it's like to work with the Office of Human Rights in trying to maintain an individual's human rights.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So, and that's something that, you know, we talk about, you don't know all the things that we do in DBHDS,
Correct.
but incredibly critical. So when people want to get a license in Virginia because they want to serve people, a lot of them don't know how.
Exactly.
And so they're the first touch point of showing them how important it is of what they're about to undertake.
Absolutely.
Right? Getting a license is much more than just getting a license.
Absolutely, and what is involved with that, and all of the pieces that go along with the responsibility that you're taking on as being a provider and serving others.
That's right. I would say that you educate these providers that they are getting the privilege to serve.
Absolutely.
Right.
I would agree.
Now, when you come up with these trainings, I imagine like you guys just don't sit down in the basement and figure out like, oh, how does that happen?
Well, we use a lot of different reference points to kind of see where's a good avenue to develop new curriculum to provide to providers. I heard, when you and Jennifer were speaking about data points and different metrics, we look for those trends. What areas could use a bump, an improvement? What areas is it that we seem to be excelling at, but how can we continue to maintain that excelling? So we kind of use the data to kind of indicate where it is that maybe we can intervene and speak to some of those areas. We also take a lot of feedback from providers about what would be helpful for them. So we use that information as well. We also internally talk amongst ourselves. We heard Adrea talk about what it takes to support a team. And when we talk about trying to support a team, we talk about commonalities that we see amongst the providers, and we talk about what is it that we can do to be proactive in that moment, and then kind of develop curriculum around what those trends are.
That's right. Yeah, it's the same or similar to new employee orientation with any sort
Absolutely.
of any industry.
Yes.
Whether it's in the hospital or working at Sheets or something.
Exactly.
You get new employee orientation based on what they've seen and best practices and how you should behave. And so you're the NEO for the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Absolutely.
That's kind of cool, right?
Yeah, it is. It's very awesome. And I do a lot of engagement with providers in a different way than maybe the advocates
Sure.
and or the regional managers would, or even the state operated facility side of the house. But I do engage with providers regularly, again, state hospitals and community providers. And there's always some takeaway that I get from those engagements.
Yeah.
I like to be approachable, because lots of times when you're front and center as somebody imparting information, people can sometimes become somewhat intimidated. But when I try to have an open dialogue, I get a lot of information that way, and it kind of helps me inform how I need to approach with the information that I'm trying to get across.
There's a common theme here too. We use information
Yes.
to better inform the outcomes.
Absolutely.
that's going to make the best impact for the people we serve.
Yes, I totally agree.
And that's really cool. I want everyone to really think about this, like all these hidden gems that we have across our agency, all working in unison for the common good, for one DBHDS.
Absolutely.
Well, that's amazing, and I'm proud to serve with you and your whole team.
Likewise, likewise.
Do you have any questions for me?
Absolutely. AI is a hot topic right now. More specifically, integration into healthcare. How do you feel about AI, and do you see a place for it in our workplace?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, everyone's going to have a good idea about what it is, but what I think, and we've had these conversations, is how do we do this in a thoughtful way? Well, I think, I'm sure everyone's using it, whether it's to punch out documents, Word documents, and run numbers and things like that, right? I think it benefits us because it'll make us, the administrative burdens that we all get annoyed with.
Correct.
Absolutely. But when I was talking about that data warehouse and data exchange and this is where we have to be very thoughtful because we have a lot, HIPAA, we have so many vulnerabilities that I'll tell you, our IT security team is doing a fantastic job as we've grown as an advanced our technology. We've had to work in that area too because healthcare gets hacked all over the globe, especially in that electronic health record. There are things that we don't, most people don't even consider, but a pulse ox monitor or little things that now connect to the Wi-Fi.
Exactly.
Like those are all vulnerabilities. So how do we leverage AI throughout the whole system?
Correct.
And so, again, going back to the data warehouse or data exchange, how can we use that on top of this platform safely in a way that informs us? I don't know if it's predictive or there's so many possibilities. But we're having a thoughtful conversation on how we do that, right? We work with VITA because they are a big partner in this. They're the ones who are, they're the gatekeepers for the Commonwealth's IT security, cloud-based things. So that's a developing conversation. But again, we want to do it in a meaningful, thoughtful way, safely.
Okay, perfect. Yes, because I know there is a lot of, especially with sensitive information and confidentiality, I could see where that would require a certain level of triaging through the thought of how that would be implemented.
We shouldn't be, at the facility level, shouldn't be, throwing those things into, we're not at that point yet.
Right.
Although I do know, what I've read is that most the interactions with AI is healthcare related, right? So again, I think there's a lot of appetite for it, but we don't have to be. I received some really wise advice a long time ago. It's like, you don't have to be first.
Right.
Even though I like being first,
right.
Let's let some other people figure out, let's test it for a while, let's see, because this one is not an area I don't necessarily think we need to be first, and we need to be thoughtful.
Right.
Right, because there's so many vulnerabilities, and we're dealing with a lot of people's personal information.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So I have a question for you, another question. A really big part of your role is being the content manager for our new DBHDS website. How do you make it easy for people to understand all the laws and regulations that we contend with?
Absolutely. So I'll take it in two parts. First, I kind of think making things as easily understandable as possible is the goal across the board for whomever it is that you're communicating information to and with. So as far as the website is concerned, I try to, in managing it, try to make it easily pointable. Like you come to and you can easily access what it is that you're looking for. The Office of Human Rights outputs a lot of information, anywhere from data to statistics, all the way to new processes that are being rolled out. We send out a lot of memos, a lot of informational updates on information. So I try to house those things collectively where they belong on the website. The trainings that I was speaking about previously that I facilitate, they're also kind of chunked and lumped together. So long story short, I try to put things to where it makes the most sense on the webpage. And much like the trainings that I do, using plain language is the easiest way to have that information communicated. What I try to emphasize, like in those trainings and on the website, is, ultimately what you want to do is look beyond what the words are. I try to emphasize, don't be intimidated by the words. Let's talk about the intention and the concept of what it is that we're talking about, that the regulation is speaking to. So if you can educate people on what the intent is, then the words become less important, if that makes sense. Right. So I try to speak to making sure the concepts and things are understood.
You're doing a fantastic job.
Well, I certainly
absolutely
appreciate that.
Love. Again, go check out the website.
Absolutely. Shameless plug.
All right.
I saw you were recently in Washington, D.C. with the National Association of Commissioners for Behavioral Health. Mm-hmm. How was that, and were there any good takeaways that you felt were super important to learn?
Yeah, like any of those meetings, you always leave with something, right? If you don't, you're not doing it right. Right. You need to learn, and I always learn from my colleagues. It was really cool because they have breakout sessions where I sat with our southeastern folks, which include Puerto Rico, some of the islands, which is neat. I get to hear how they do things.
Right.
But I learned some really big things from my colleague in Tennessee. They do things differently, especially around the forensic stuff. So I always leave there with grand ideas. I probably come running back here like, hey, guys, I want to do this. Right. And then everyone rolls their eyes like, oh, here we go again.
Right, exactly.
But I would encourage, in that vein, I would encourage everyone out there that has those professional associations, engage. It's your personal growth. It's your personal network that you get to get involved with. Share good times, share bad times, and out of that, you actually learn best practices. Perfect. And I love representing Virginia. Because again, we're the best.
We're the best.
That's right.
Number one. Except with the AI, we want to wait and just be thoughtful about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you got me.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming.
I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, and thanks for what you do.
Absolutely.
All right.
Likewise.
Cheers.
All right.
You did it.
Okay.
All right. All right, now we're wrapping up here, but not before we do my favorite thing, which is our drawing for Thankful Thursdays. You all have been really engaging in this. We have so many names. You guys are really throwing them all up here. So let's get after it, Alonzo.
Oh, let's do this.
Boom.
Dun, dun, dun.
We even got the logo there, too. All right. It's all random.
Okay.
Well, that's a big one.
This is for Tanika Goldman, State Human Rights Director at Central Office.
It is completely random, folks. All right. Congratulations, Tanika.
Yeah, got it.
Everyone's going to say that. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us for this episode. I hope you really enjoyed getting to know all your awesome colleagues. And we look forward to seeing you here too, because we want to know about you. All right, let's bring it in. On 3, 1, 2, 3. 1 DBHDS.
Right. We were just like,
that's all right. Perfect.